surprised him by sending along a stripper. The old man opened the door, feeling very tired and exhausted, and this beautiful young thing jumped up, opened up her coat and displayed a naked body, and she said, "Super sex!" Well, the old man just scratched his crotch and said, "I'll have the soup, thank you." Well, it might be a bit funny, but it's not okay that it's a social rip-off for the older generation to have sexual desires, much less sexual ideas, which are carried out in public. Sex is supposedly for the young. Society relegates people much beyond 30 to second-class sexual citizenship. Let's reverse the trend, I say. Let's have a sexual revolution for the older folk and make it not only okay, but actually wonderful to be sexy in your 60s, 70s, and indeed until rigor mortis sets in. Thank goodness the media occasionally make it all right for the older generation to at least be in love. Look at movies like the Cocoon series. And what about Meryl Streep in that tearjerker, The Bridges of Madison County? And what about Mel Gibson in Forever Young? And that beautiful heart movie, Somewhere in Time, with Christopher Reeves and Jane Seymour? If you haven't seen these movies, do go and see them and get educated about true love and being old. Just be sure to take your box of tissues. So let me ask Florence what she thinks about this issue. Florence, is it okay for older folk to feel sexy and enjoy sex?
Sex is just as necessary and important to elderly people as it is to the young. After all, both need the same good food to get the same enjoyment and nourishment to life. We were given our sexuality to use, but not to abuse. And as far as I know, sex has no use-by date like milk on the supermarket shelf. But be sure to take care that you use safe sex, the same as you would if buying meat from the delicatessen shelf in the supermarket. I don't know why society is so negative about sex with older people. After all, when you're young or old, you still like a box of chocolates. It's just when you're old that you prefer the chocolates without the nuts because they get stuck into your dentures. I was once asked by Dr. Terry Seedsman at Footscray Institute of Technology to be guest speaker to a class of physical education and biology students, and when question time came, someone asked me what I thought of sex between elderly people, to which I replied, if you had a ripe peach or a pear on your sideboard, would you leave it there to go mouldy, or would you eat it? And I left them wondering whether I'm a mouldy peach or just someone having a nibble at me.
In my work as a sex therapist, I've certainly seen a wide range of issues which related to sex for older people. There was a very sad widow who at 62 was grieving for her dead husband. They'd had a wonderfully fulfilling marriage which included a rich and rewarding sex life. Now, Margaret was mortified to find that she was having hot sexual thoughts, and she wanted reassurance that this was normal and that she wasn't betraying the memory of her dear Tom. Margaret had to come to terms with that aching feeling of emptiness which comes after a loss of consistent physical affection in a relationship. The term we commonly give this is skin hunger. Then there was Martin, who at 58 was curious about sexual practices which his wife Beryl had never been interested in. When Martin told me one of these was the desire that she touch his penis and masturbate him, I was most surprised because that's a perfectly normal sexual activity, and I agreed that Martin had been missing out. But I had to take it very carefully with Beryl, though, because she was very resistant to expanding her sexual repertoire and angry that Martin had dobbed her in to a therapist. Martin didn't mean to dob her in fact, he was very apologetic and didn't mean to hurt her at all, but he was just at the end of his tether. Beryl was particularly cross because she thought that she'd always been a good sexual partner. She'd always had intercourse when Martin expected it and she never knocked him back. The only trouble was Beryl was just going through the motions. Martin wanted her to want him and touch him and kiss him all over. I have to tell you that this wasn't an easy case, but gradually with counselling, Beryl warmed up and finally began to masturbate Martin, as you can imagine, to his intense delight. And I remember learning about the scarcity of males to older females.